So for my Logic project, as you can see here, I'll just start off with the drums, show you what they sound like. If they do, no they won't because you don't have any audio files. So I'll start with the kick drum. Just did basic compressing and stuff to it, because I've got two kick drums. One of the kick drums is, I wanted it very bassy. As you see here with the EQ, I've added a lot of bass to it, cut off a bit of the middle. I've left the, I would have done that actually, it doesn't matter now. But the other kick drum is supposed to be very light and very clicky, so I've made that a bit more obvious, with adding a bit more mid and getting rid of the bass and the high end. For the overheads, I've got rid of the whole lower end of it, because then you're just hearing a whole kit, and all I really wanted to hear is the cymbals. I've wanted them picked up low, so that's why there's so much high end on both of them. When I first started mixing, I wanted to add a lot of compression, because I wanted it to be very heavy, like they would during the 90s doing alt rock. But I realised that it made it sound very muddy, so I left that to the end and compressed the whole kit instead. And added a limiter because it was starting to clip and it was getting a bit too much. I also EQ'd the whole kit. I'd taken a lot of low end off, which made it a lot higher than I wanted, but it worked very well with the mix, so I kept it as it is. For the bass, originally I wanted to mic the bass with two mics, but I didn't have time for that, so I've instead got two DI basses, the same exact same track, just duplicated. One of which has got with both bass amps on. One of which got dynamic 20 mic, which is pretty much the SM57, very close to the amp. And then the other one is a dynamic 421, which is pretty much the Sennheiser 421, kind of further away, which is what I would have had. For my EQs, I took, for the one with the 57, pretty much, I took a lot of the high end off because I wanted it to be very bassy, very low. That was going to take up pretty much the whole mix, as you can see there. And the other one, I took a lot of the low end off and had a bit higher because I wanted that to be a bit more twangy and clicky, pretty much, for that bass. For the vocals, I wanted to go for a bit more of a sound like the Strokes. So to achieve that, I took a lot of the low end off to go and try and get the very high, crappy telephone sound, pretty much. Added quite heavy compression and overdrive, which pretty much got that exact sound that I was looking for. The way it was done on the original tracks for the Strokes is they had two vocal tracks, pretty much doing the exact same thing, so that's what I've done here somewhat, because so there's a main vocal, which is the exact same track, but it's very less compressed, EQ'd normally as I would for vocals. It just pretty much adds a bit more colour. And then there's another vocal, which is just backing, it's a bit higher, so I've added a lot more mids to it to even it out. So I add some harmonies as well. For these, very simple, just very simple EQs and stuff. I had a bit reverb to all of it, just to make it all blend in and sound nice, because it's so lost in the mix, but it just adds to the song so much. For the chorus vocals, it's the same as the verse, where I've tried to go for the stroke sound, adding the same stuff pretty much, but there is two other vocals there that I've pretty much got totally lost in the mix, but nothing's been done to them. For guitars, because I used the compression pedal while recording, I didn't have to really add much like compressor or anything else. I just EQ'd them. For two of the mics were Sennheiser 421s. For that, for two of the mics, one of which have been very heavily EQ'd, took a lot of the bass off, sounds very high, while the other one's very low. And it just makes the mix sound a lot more dynamic for the clean guitars. This fuzz one, once again, used compressor, didn't have to add much more to it, just EQ'd it a bit. Same with the distorted guitars. For the solo guitar, I added took one track, educated it again. One of which is very clean sound, with not much on. I've added an overdrive and an echo just to add a bit more oomph to it. While the other one is very heavily reverbed, and I've put it to the right of the mix. It's also just a slightly bit out of time, so it's pretty much I've made a delay myself that I can move around the mix, which makes it sound very large and very big in the mix. So it's made the solo just even more powerful than it was. And that's pretty much it for master. Very slight EQ, everything's very slight, even slight compression. And limiter, just to hold everything back because my track was getting very loud. And then the multimeter was pretty much so everyone in the FMP band who made their own track had to sound the same. So then it's all the same level, pretty much, as someone whispered in my ear. But that is pretty much everything for my mix.